email marketing has changed again, and what worked 8 months ago absolutely no longer works. And so I need to make sure that you're adapting as quickly as the market is, because just like any algorithm, everyone is doing the same thing and it's becoming overdone, which means that what the algorithm favors is a little bit different to what it used to. So that's exactly why I'm making this video. I'm going to cover exactly what has changed, number one, what is absolutely dominating right now, number two, and most importantly, how your company can adapt to these things and apply it yourself. And it all starts with your sign-up form. What used to work was a simple 20% off, and then you just capture their email, and that was that. The dynamic has completely changed. So take a look at what True Classic is doing. In theory, this is great. This is probably what you're doing. You're doing something similar. If anything, you have a little bit less detail where you're not even collecting information about your audience. And where this used to work, it just does not work anymore. Whereas if you take a look at Desoy, this is a brand that is doing it absolutely with perfection. And the reason for that is because, number one, they have a mystery discount, which is the best performing in 2026. And second of all, they're asking what your interest is off the bat, so it doesn't feel transactional. This, based on the data that we've seen, is the absolute best pop-up form to run. Now, you can build this out in your backend, or you can actually use Alia pop-ups, which I highly recommend. It heightens your submissions, and that is the game that we're playing. What all these companies have figured out is that you want to optimize for way more subscribers to heighten the chance of new time conversions. And that's exactly what this does. So take a look at the difference. Obviously, you just input your email, you go to a success page, everything is kind of to that degree, right? So if we go ahead, if we go ahead and we put in my email, we say get 20% back, it is just going to say, congrats, apply your credit, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if we go to Desoy, we select our interest, it's going to ask for our email address first. We're going to input that. Then it is going to go to SMS. And from SMS, you put in some random numbers. Let's go over here. And then you'll get your 10% off. And the code is on the success page, which is the most important thing. We go here and then we redirect to the website. That is the correct way to set up a pop-up form in 2026. The brands that are scaling aggressively, like Desoy, like AG1, like Groons, for example, all of these brands are running these killer offers and then connecting it with incredible submissions to make sure that whatever they're spending on ads and whatever traffic they're getting does not get lost. So I highly recommend this for 2026. And now that you go to sign up forms and you're getting tons of new customers, now the most important thing that you can do in 2026 is correct segmentation. This is where a lot of brands go wrong. They're over-segmenting or under-segmenting. You probably fall into one of those categories. You're probably not sending to the right people, and this matters a lot more than you think. And so usually when we audit a backend, there's either this over-dilution where you're sending to just people who buy gummies and just people who buy this, and you're sending only those campaigns. And on the other side of the spectrum, you're probably not segmenting enough, where you're only sending to 60-day engaged, 90-day engaged, or 120-day engaged. And very rarely are you switching it up. That is an equal mistake that is costing you more than you realize. So here is the segmentation strategy that's working in 2026. There's just a handful of segments that you actually need to create, and they're based on life cycle. So the first one you want to create is you do want to create your engaged customers by 120 days. But then you want to go and create a segment of anyone that has purchased at least twice or more. These are repeat customers, and you're going to send very different campaigns to them, which I'll explain shortly. Then thirdly, what you're going to do is segment based on non-buyers. So these are people that are engaged, but they have not ever purchased from you. Then you're going to go and create a segment of people that have only ever purchased once, but they've never placed a repeat purchase. And then you're going to create a segment of lapsed customers. So now you have this orientation of all these different customers that are in your database. The most important reason why we want these segments is because our strategy is supposed to differ based on what we send to each one. Because if you think about it, our entire purpose of email is to increase AOV, increase LTV, and increase the amount of times that they repeat purchase, which kind of ties into LTV, but most importantly, we're trying to increase first-time customer conversions instead of relying on ads to bring that metric up. And that is why email marketing to these specific segments is so important. So just for example, you're going to send your higher offers to non-purchasers to try and get them over the line. Test some offers with them. Your repeat customers are going to get educational and upsell emails. And then your engaged non-buyers, you want to try and figure out what gets them over the line, or what are they engaging with and why are they not placing that order? And your lapsed customers, of course, you're going to try and win them back by showing them different things, testing different offers as well, but every segment is different and should be treated differently. But now the question is, what do you actually send to these segments? And so what you need to be sending in 2026, and these are the best campaigns that we've seen perform up until now as of May of 2026, is number one, plain text emails that are personal from the founder. Number two, unique campaigns that interrupt the pattern, which I'm going to show you shortly. And number three, newsletters, which might surprise you, but trust me, this is working phenomenally well. And then lastly is specific types of sales and campaigns. So let's take a look at these plain text emails that are performing well in 2026. And you can see that we've got a plain text email from Breeze, Ritual, and Byte. And these are some of the best performing e-commerce brands in 2026. And there's a reason for it. These are the kind of emails that are performing well. And you can see each one is kind of formatted differently, but have the same overall approach. And what it is this, in this world of AI slop, this personal founder outreach is performing way beyond everything else, because most brands now have dialed in their design team, which means you can no longer stand out by having really high quality designs. You have to stand out in other ways, and that's what the algorithm favors. As it is, plain text emails can be personalized. You can also make sure that you're adding a bit of personality in them, and you can change it up and do a bit of a pattern interrupter. So there's no reason not to do it, because it also improves your deliverability and inbox placement. So if we take a look at this email from Breeze, first of all, it is essentially a, hey, today Breeze takes a massive step forward. Just want to thank you for your support. Because of that, we're reducing our prices. And so this is a founder-based email, but it is a sale disguised as a founder-based email. And that's why it did so well. They're kind of phrasing it as thanks to you, we're able to put our products down. But that's not actually the case. They're just announcing in a very, very clever way. Then Ritual is really clever because they're hiding a product promotion within an email. And this is the ideal way that I recommend that you do plain text emails. If you take a look at the way they've written it, they're making it seem like a story. It's coming from Kat, the founder, but it doesn't seem like she's trying to sell to you. It sounds like she's telling a story, and embedded in that story happens to be this promotion for the essential prenatal multivitamin. And that is the trick with these emails. You can hide your sales in here so that it doesn't feel inauthentic. And that is how brands are killing it. And then if we take a look at the way that Byte has done the email, it is a really clever sale reminder. So many brands are tying this into their sale periods, where instead of making these repetitive reminder emails for sales, they're sending a founder email saying, just wanted to remind you, this is a soft push, just as a reminder, hope you didn't miss it, blah, blah, blah. This is working and it's killing it. So these are the plain text emails I highly recommend you start sending out. And then of course, there's visual emails. Everyone's sending visual emails, and like I said, people have dialed in their visual creation. So how do you stand apart? Well, it's pretty simple actually. You need to make things, number one, that they have seen before. If you think about it, most of your audience is wanting to scroll on TikTok or Reels or somewhere else anyway. So if you're competing for that attention, you may as well make it worth their time. What would they stop on? What would they stop scrolling for? It's curiosity. It's something that looks familiar, like the weather report or a WhatsApp chat, that keeps them engaged because it's what they would have been spending their time anyway. You don't want to make it look like an email, because they're going to treat it like an email. They're going to skim it and leave. You don't want that. You want to make it a pattern interrupter and make it look like something different that they have to think about. And that's exactly what we do for our clients. Take a look at these 3 emails that we built that does exactly what I just mentioned. Take a look at this one for Magic Spoon. This one for Magic Spoon is a really tasteful way of showing a product highlight without really just talking about a product. We are immediately just showing a skimmable email that says, hey, here's today's forecast, 100% chance of cereal. So it's really capturing, that's all there is. It's not trying to make you think about it. It's a clever tactic to try and get them to read. And also, it's an app that everyone looks at mostly every single day. So you're pausing on it because you're curious. And at the bottom there, you can see, grab your forecast friendly flavor before the weather changes. And then the call to action, get my forecast. So it's just such a tasteful way to do a promotional campaign without making it seem transactional. Then you have this 20% off email that we built out for Magic Mind. And the way that we approach this one is we did a little bit differently. You can see that we say you're invited. And immediately you open up the email and you're wondering, what are you invited to? Is it genuine? Is it something in person? Is this exclusive? So it gets your brain thinking. And immediately you see RSVP for 20% off. So again, you want to read the email because you want to understand what it's about. And we've done this really tasteful tactic of doing a sale email, but making it look different to a typical email. And the way we did it is we talk about the guest list that's showing up, but actually we're just breaking down the products or the ingredients that are inside the product. And then we're running this to say, hey, your calendar is full, your brain should be too, show up sharper, join the party. So just a really tasteful play on a party invitation, but they get 20% off when they click because it's a site-wide sale. So just a super great way to do another promotional email instead of making it look salesy. And then lastly, this is one of my favorites just because it's such a fun play on everything, is an email that we did for Olipop, where it's sodas to drink when your ex tests. And then lastly is one of my favorites, which is an email that we built out for Olipop. And it's called Sodas to Drink When Your Ex Texts. And so immediately, again, you're stopping on this, you're reading it because it looks like a text message exchange. If you think about it, when you're scrolling and you see a text message exchange, it's a very common meme culture way of doing a post and getting viral. And so we took the same approach. We're doing what they would spend their time on anyway and applying it to email. And so what we do is we kind of make this fun exchange between this person and their ex. And we're just doing a really sneaky product promotion within it, but it's disguised as text messages. So again, you're kind of forcing the audience to read through this because they're curious. And curious-driven emails are proven to do the absolute best in terms of engagement. We want to teach our audience to read their emails because when we send important things, they're already paying attention. Rather than trying to gamble and hope that they pay attention to the next one that we send, we know they're going to pay attention. And lastly, something that is absolutely killing it, and this is going to surprise you, is old school newsletters. Again, I think it ties into the fact that most things are AI slop, number one. Number two, everything is transactional. And number three, image-based emails are so overdone and tactics are changing. And so old-based email newsletters are really appealing, especially if an older audience demographic. And the reason for it is because it doesn't seem salesy. It seems like it's embedded with information, which it is, but it has soft sells embedded in it. So take a look at the way that this brand does their newsletter. So it starts with just a coffee talk, so it always has the same segments within the email. And that way it's easy to recreate. It's easy for the audience to know what's coming up next. So this is issue 67. They've been doing 67 of them essentially. This starts with coffee talks, and it's just a personal, note from this person, Christine. So she's just talking about a few things, just a random write down of, what she's feeling and how she's looking at things, and just this personal take. And then underneath it is a research roundup. All the time there is a research roundup, and it is basically a really clever way to educate them on their product without talking about their product directly. So for example, this is a cannabis brand, so they're talking about THC and they're talking about microdosing. And so they want to talk about their benefits without seeming like they're trying to push an agenda. And that's exactly what this does. Then when you scroll down, again, just more things, so lifestyle and wellness, breaking that down. And then at the bottom is the trick where the email performs exceptionally well. We've run this for a brand and we got $93,000 from one email send. That's the biggest amount of revenue that we've generated without needing to run a sale for that client specifically. And the way we did it is exactly this. You embed some kind of recipe or something to that extent, and then you show products at the bottom. And now they've just read this entire email about why those things in your products are so beneficial. And then suddenly they see it at the bottom of the email. They're sold. They have been diagnosed basically from your email. They see the studies. They trust you a lot more, and you're making it easy for them. They're going to see the bottom of the email and go, oh, actually, that's so convenient. I was just thinking I wanted this product. So newsletters are so underrated. You need to tie it into your marketing starting today. Now, another thing that is dying is you're obviously sending these great emails, but a lot of the time, brands that we audit are just guessing their send time. They're split testing from time to time, or they're sending in the morning because they think that by noon, they're probably going to place an order. And other brands are sending in the evening because they swear by their audience only buying after work hours. And this has been an ongoing debate. Send times are generally very difficult to guess because every single person in every single profile has a unique characteristic about them. Personally, I don't even online shop, and when I do, it is so random. But another customer will online shop a lot more frequently in the morning as they wake up, another while they're at work. So this is just a guessing game for a lot of brands. But in 2026, there is a new way to do sending thanks to Klaviyo's latest update, where you can personalize send times based on per profile, which is a game changer. And so what that will look like is, let's just say that you send a batch of emails and you're sending it to 10 different people. Guessing the ideal send time for those 10 people is pretty difficult and near impossible, especially when you 10x that or you 100x that list size. So let's just say we're sending that sample size to 10 people. What Klaviyo is now able to do is it's able to look at the historic AI data of that profile when, number one, they're most likely to open an email, and number two, when they're most likely to place an order, because those are two separate things. And so they have joined that data, and every single profile in your database has their own unique set of analytics. So they're taking those analytics and you can finally do personalized send times. Here's how. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up Klaviyo. And once you open up Klaviyo, we're going to navigate on the left sidebar here. And I'm just using this client account as an example, but you want to click on Marketing Analytics, which is this light bulb over here. Now, you are going to have to apply for a free trial and ideally contact your CSM. Obviously, we have personal contacts as an agency. We manage this for our clients, but you want to contact your CSM and try and set up a call with them. I highly, highly recommend this. This is the newest feature, so you want to go ahead and do this. What you're going to do is navigate to Overview Marketing Analytics. And what you can do is now you can create a segment. I recommend you play around, but you can create a segment. You can do whatever you want with this. Now, for me personally, I'm scrolling down and I want to run a personalized campaign so that I can do personalized send times. What I'm going to do, go to the template library. I'm going to just go to build my own. I am going to make this single channel. I'm going to keep the name, but this is going to be a test send basically. And what I'm going to do is I am going to do a test to this segment. Just as an example for this video, you can choose a bigger list, of course. And we're going to name this test. Let's do this and test. And then we're going to choose this example. From there, it is going to load up and we're going to go to the usual page that you used to, where you can go and edit whatever you want. But we're going to go next. We're going to say next again. And here where you say schedule or send, you can click on that. And what you can do is you can choose scheduling. And now you can choose personalized send time. So when the audience or the segment is most likely to engage per profile. This, now that you have it set up, is going to change the game for your emails. You now have high converting emails based on data, and you can also start to personalize way more. Personalization is going to go a long way because as much as there is AI slop, not many people are using this feature yet, so I highly recommend that you start using it in 2026. And now you have your campaigns completely dialed in. You know who you're sending to, you can personalize those sends, and so you have your sign-up form, your campaigns, and your send times completely set. But the next thing is flows, and I'm willing to bet my kidneys on the fact that you don't have the correct setup for your cart and checkout abandonments. Now, hear me out. You've probably set them up and they're working just fine. You have some split tests running, you have the right time delays, you have the right filters. You probably had an agency come in that claimed to be the best and set these up. But if your campaigns or flows within the cart abandonment and checkout look anything like this setup, you have a huge problem. And you're probably going to be confused because I can guarantee you probably do have something like this, right? So if you take a look over here, you have your trigger, which is when someone started checkout, and you then have a separate one for cart abandonment, which is great. Then you have a time delay. You probably have an aggressive one or maybe a slower one. Time delay is whatever. Each brand and each agency is going to claim their own claim to success, and you're probably split testing this. Then you have your first email, and maybe yours doesn't look like this. Maybe you are using the best tactic of saying complete your order now, and then you have this time delay and you send your second email. So everything in theory looks good. This is what most agencies build out for their clients, and this is what most of the brands that we audit have set up. But there's one major mistake that this is making that you're missing completely. All right, now this is the best way to set up a checkout abandonment. Take a look at what we've done for this client, and I'm going to explain exactly why it works so well. So you'll notice something. We split this off, and there's a reason we do that. The way that we split it is based on whether they have placed an order from us before or not. And the reason to do this is because what so many brands are doing incorrectly is they're filtering every single person into the same sequence of emails. You should have people re-enter based on whether they go and add something to their cart and a banner in 14 days time, for example. But the issue with what you probably have set up is you're showing the same message to people that have seen the email before and people that haven't. So let's just say that I have bought from you before, and then I abandon the checkout, I get the email, and then I actually place my order. And then I come back a month later and I abandon it again. I'm going to get the same sequence of emails that I've already seen. That is the last thing that you want to do as a top tier brand. And so what the top brands are doing is they're personalizing this experience based on whether I am a repeat customer or not. Because you probably have an offer embedded in your cart abandonment or your checkout abandonment, and you're just giving out that offer every single time someone goes through that, even if they've used this before. So that's a big red flag. So the real way to set this up is simple. You want to make sure that they obviously hit this checkout abandonment, and then you want to make sure that they have a re-entry after, let's just say, 14 days, right? And from here, what's going to happen is it's going to split. You want to add a conditional split based on whether they have placed an order at least once. If they have placed an order before, they will not get an offer. Instead, they're going to get the sequence of emails that is a little bit more along the lines of, hey, are you running low? You obviously abandoned your checkout, which means that you purchased a product from us before, but I suppose that you're running out of stock. So that's what we do. This is the winning subject line. If you didn't know that, absolutely apply this, but we're making sure that we're sending this out. And because they've become a customer before, we want to prioritize campaigns over this flow specifically. But our non-buyers have no smart sending. And what we're doing in this one is we're saying, hey, your order is almost ready to ship. We saved it for you. You're so close. Just finish ordering here. And we show them exactly what they left behind. Really high quality email. And what we're testing here is actually the send times to see what actually does work and what doesn't. And we're split testing a few things. But ignore that, and let's just say that this is all that we have, right? These are two non-buyers. What we're doing is we're sending it to them, and then we're offering them a discount. The issue with what you're doing is you're probably offering a very similar discount to what you have on your welcome offer. The difference with us is that we don't mimic the welcome offer. If they didn't convert from the welcome offer, it's very likely that they're not going to convert from a mimicked offer in the checkout abandonment. So instead, what you should be doing is you should run a percentage off in the cart abandonment and checkout abandonment, and probably $1 off in the welcome offer, or vice versa. That's exactly what we do. So in 2026, you don't want to send the same checkout and cart abandonment flow to anyone. You want to make sure that, number one, you're testing your offer and you're offering something different to your welcome flow. Very important. Second thing is you want to send to people that have purchased before and who haven't purchased before separately. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that you're changing the messaging based on who the customer base is instead of sending the same thing. So that is the trick for 2026. It is the strategy that you absolutely have to use. Way too many brands are making the mistake of not splitting this off based on whether they've been in the flow before. So be cautious of this. You want to make sure that they're getting different messaging. The most important thing is, obviously, if you're running email marketing, you're probably running a bunch of offers. And probably once a month, you're running a 30% off or 20% off site-wide. Maybe you're doing some categorical sales, but I highly doubt it. This no longer works. Customers will find the best discount from competing brands, or vice versa. They've learned that you're running discounts, so they're just going to wait for it. This is not the sustainable way to grow. And the way that we've grown another brand from pretty much 200K per month to 1.8 million per month in just attributed revenue is by following the simple principle of testing a different offer every single month, or hiding the offer so it becomes more of an urgency play. And here's exactly what I mean. The old way of doing a sale was 30% off site-wide. This year, in 2026, the new strategy is to hide an offer, or at least make the offer unique that the people have to engage with. And what I mean by that is you can run different offers, like number one, running a crossword offer. What this means is you have to solve the crossword, and the highlighted letters in the crossword will give you the code, but it's limited to the first 20 people that guess it. It adds a bit of urgency, it adds engagement, and it teaches people to look at your emails, which is what you want to do. Now, the next thing that's working incredibly well, and is to date the best offer that we've ever run for any brand, is a limited time sale where for the next 24 hours, anyone that spends over $100 will get our limited edition tin. And we limited it to 200 people, which was insane because we didn't even expect 200 people to convert, but they did. And they converted without needing a discount. Notice what I said, spend $100, get a limited edition tin. The tin cost the brand probably $2 to make. And what that means is they were making additional AOV and they were increasing their returning customers because they were purchasing something because it seemed unique, it seemed invaluable, it seemed like a limited edition thing, which it was, and we never run that offer again. So people know the next time that we run a limited edition offer, they better jump on it. Another great one that is something that Breeze has done before is if you purchase today, we're going to refund 5 random orders and completely refund them. So works great because, again, you don't have to discount the brand. You're not breaking the margins to run a discount where kind of there's no point in running that discount anyway. What this does is it keeps the audience engaged. It makes people feel like they're lucky. It's like gambling mindset of maybe it's me. I was going to purchase this week anyway, so I might as well purchase today and get the chances of a refund. And run this every so often. Again, people are going to participate. They're going to try and see if they can get lucky. It's a great way to increase your sales for the day, especially on those lower days where maybe ads are slower than usual and you don't have to prompt a discount. Another simple offer to run is if you purchase today, we're going to throw in a free product. Again, notice how there's always some kind of unique offer and a time limit on the offer. Urgency is what sells. You do not have to attach 30% off for people to purchase your product. Trust me. And then lastly, if you want to keep things simple, don't run a site-wide discount. Instead, run a store credit discount. And what this is, it's basically disguised as a 30% off, but it's not. And what you're doing is you're emailing customers, you're saying, hey, you have $20 in store credit if you purchase anything above $100 or if you spend $100 today or tomorrow. And so it is basically a 20% off, but you're disguising it as $1 off and you're making it seem like it's actually store credit that they have to use anyway. So store credit versus a percentage off works great because psychologically they think that they have that off, and it's not a trick. It's not to trick your customers, but it's a really strategic way to get sales without having to discount the brand, and the customer wins as well. So basically the theme is that 2026 is no longer the simple plain cut and stick strategy that all the brands are using and probably you're using. The new strategy in 2026 is really strategic thinking and placement of campaigns. Being intentional with how you send them. The campaigns that you're sending need to be higher quality, a lot more intentional, and thinking about what the customer would rather receive. That is what 2026 is about. And luckily with AI, you're able to make those decisions. So with that being said, those are all the new strategies that you need to pay attention to and input for your brand. Now, if you want an agency to come and do all of this thinking for you, apply it all and build all of this out so you don't have to worry about the next trend change or the next algorithm change, then go down below, book in a call. We would love to work with you. But until then, go down below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.